It's almost like it's a trend or something. But while Cousin Carol was away, I decided to play with my tools a bit and see if I could make a kind of shaky, wobbly tabletop a little more solid. And it pretty much worked, except I found out there was one thing I really couldn't make any better than it was. Please take a look and let me know what you think. Thanks very much. Cousin Carol is out of town, enjoying a few days of vacation with some friends, so I had an idea. This table is pretty wobbly. I'm gonna check and see if there's something I can do about that. Well, this is pretty interesting. It almost is like this is a combination of tables, because this paint scheme doesn't match up with the top at all. Now, here's another issue. The legs are loose in their mount, but the post itself rocks back and forth. And I can see a gap down here. So I think I'm going to have to take it off here in order to check and see how it's the table post is attached to the other piece that's attached to the table itself. Very, very interesting. I do think I can tighten these up though pretty directly. Well, it's going to be an interesting experiment, and I hope I hope Carol still has a table when she gets home in a couple days. Well, square nuts are always interesting, aren't they? So here's a half, and that's not big enough. This will work. Probably is 7/16. But I wanted to use the ratchet. Let's try the 7/16. 9. No, that's going up. Let's go down. There we go. Okay, 7/16, and then it is evidently a Phillips head underneath. Let's see if I can get to that. Alright, this one's loose, but couldn't really get the right spot for the regular screwdriver bit to get in there, so really it was just kind of jamming against it to get it to loosen up enough. So now I got to try that 3 more times and then see if I can actually turn this thing over and re-secure here. And then put these back on. It's all going to be fun. I'm tempted to say, wow, wouldn't it be nice if I, actually knew how to do these things right, had exactly the right tools, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I'm inclined to think on even something like this, it was kind of a rig job putting it together, so it's going to be kind of a rig job taking it apart. Let's see if I can get the leverage I need. Not wedged in there right yet. You probably know as well as I do, that's it. You just need enough back pressure to be able to break it loose. And then all these bolts have been cut to size, so the ends of them are not exactly smooth. So we got to go through that process the second time when trying to get it off completely. And we're almost there. Now, in the comments, somebody may be saying, well, I know exactly what you should have done. And I will be very glad to take that note and apply it to future activities. I have not figured out a better way in the moment. Yeah. All right. Let's see if the head of the bolt, which is just a regular slotted, rounded off screwdriver head, see if it's low enough now that I can get pressure on it. Feels like it. Oh, come on. Oh, that close. That close. I think I've got a... I think my pair of vice grips is actually messed up. Alright, let's see if holding it with the right hand will make a difference. Come on now. Just a little bit. There it is. Alright, gonna do it a couple more times here. Oh man, that is not going to want to go back on very well. It's tucked around a bunch of other metal on the inside. Yeah, no wonder it's a hassle. Yeah, these are really kind of butched up, and man, that's a big slot. That's kind of hilarious. Usually the last one, it turns out to be the hardest for whatever reason. But the third one came off very easily, and this one... Let's just do the last one together. Can I get just enough? Wow. Look at that. All right. Well, it was kind of a janky way to do it, but it worked. Okay, let's see what this other side of the table mount looks like. And one sleep-tingled leg later, let's get a spot and see if that really is the only 4 bolts attaching this base. Oh, okay, good. That's it. Now, let's see what we're working with. Well, there's at least one broken screw inside the system. What have we got down here? Might have to grab some wood glue. Yeah, that screw is gone. It's part of the reason for the rock, I imagine. Then the others might be loose. This has been handcrafted, it looks like. A little post there to center it. Looks like it's been hand whittled down. All right. Gonna check some things and come back. How much give, if any, is there to these wood screws? Nothing there. A little bit there, but it's starting to give in the wood itself, and nothing there. So the tilt is more a question of the surface. So maybe shimming this would help. Okay, yeah, there's, I don't know, might not be able to see. Let's try this. See how that's moving up and down inside that? There's actually room there. And I don't think there's room to screw it in further. So maybe a shim from the other side. That's a little better, but still. Okay, so I'm going to try to get a... But that screw is broken off. Well, that screw is broken off, so there's metal at the bottom of that. So I have to think about putting another hole in it to screw in there. There's not a whole lot of wood left. Almost might be good to put 2 in here and here. All right, gonna think and plan a bit. The only thing more surprising than thinking that I could go out to this shambolic mess of piled tools and materials and equipment in a not quite 25% rearranged, totally jumbled workspace, thinking that I could find these old wood screws, the drill bits, the countersink bits, is actually going out there and finding them. We take our blessed and grateful moments as gifts from the Lord, where we find them like gold. I was really happy to get the chance to salvage these old wood screws from the bowling alley wood. But I thought, well, it might be, who knows if I'll ever find a real use for them. And what if just a couple weeks later, less than a month later, I might find a use. If I can get a couple that still have very good slotting that I think I can really use to dig in, I may be able. I'm not sure it's these. I'm going to have to look. I think I'll use the shorter ones, and I'm going to try to get them here and here. And maybe just put some wood glue down there and try to compress it and see if it will bond a little bit back to where that broken bolt is, or screw is. That's probably overkill. It won't work, but yeah, can I find, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, that's what I'm going to try. As long as I'm here, why don't we give this a good wipe down? How did that much dust collect on the, when it was on the underside of a tabletop? Well, I don't know, but that's at least a little better. That's a lot. I really wouldn't mind using one of these in this slot because I kind of think this one's a little bent. Maybe it's just a trick of the light, but it almost looks like it's a little bit bent. I'm just not sure how solid it's going to go down. I think what I'm going to do is put wood glue in, put this one back in, not tighten it until I have run the drill with this countersink to here, and then run a smaller bit the rest of the way so that it really grips tight but doesn't try to crack out or get stuck, because there's only so much pressure you can put on these slotted screws. That's the direction I'm headed right now. Let's see how it goes. Well, that looked a little iffy at times, as I imagine, but there is no give. I am trying to rock it here. Let's see. Yeah, trying to rock it, and there almost zero give. Now, the other thing I'm noticing, these are really big holes, and there are big slots for the bolts on the mechanism. Let's see if I can get a close in on that. There. Big slots for the mechanism here. And so I'm going to try to get some heavier bolts than than these to put back on. And, you know, if they're not ratchet, or if they're not actual hex nuts on both ends, I'm probably going to put the slotted thing on the top and put the nut on the bottom, because I can put a wrench on the bottom without having to see it, really. Well, I didn't know how this was going to go, but I was hopeful, and I think we're getting somewhere. I think the operating concept here is not perfect, but better. So I found these. I wish I could have found some a little shorter, but they do look, it is something that I'm going to be able to get pressure on without having to use 2 wrenches, I think. And I've cut them just about the same height, or one of them so far, and I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest now. And those will be the bolts that will go through to mount it back, and that's not bad. All right, a little more cutting with the trusty old Porter cable cutoff blade. I'm really impressed, actually, with how well and how long these tools have held up. I think I might be 20 years with some of them. Definitely beyond what I would have expected. And, you know, I'm really, really impressed by that, appreciative of that. The rough edges have been smoothed out a bit on the wire wheel out in the workshop, and I think I've got everything here to go ahead and put this back together, including, if needed, a couple of little cutoffs that we can use as shims if that looks like that would be helpful. I don't think we're going to have that, but we'll have them on hand just in case. It's very possible that these from Tri-State, whatever business that was, this little box has been in my odds and ends bin for 30 years, maybe more. And guess what it was? Little feet that I found out, against the odds, do fit in these mounts that had been in this thing the whole time and had just been scraping on the floor with nothing in them. I'm thrilled. All right, let's see if we can finish this up. This was totally worth trying, and I know that it is improved, but I just noticed there is always going to be some wobble because of these slides. And that's just the way it is. Okay. Let's turn it over, though, and see if it's any better than what it was.